Imagine this. You're holding a simple penny in your hand. A coin so ordinary, so familiar, that you've probably passed it 1,000 times without a second thought. But what if that same penny, that tiny copper coin from 1981, could be worth $1 million? Sounds impossible, right? Yet, somewhere in America, one small cent has changed everything for the lucky few who knew what to look for. Let's go back to 1981. Ronald Reagan had just stepped into the White House. The country was buzzing with change, optimism, and economic uncertainty. In Denver, the U.S. Mint was running at full speed, stamping millions of Lincoln cents, each one bearing the tiny D mint mark beneath the date. No one working those long, echoing mint lines could have guessed that among those countless coins, a few would become legends, pieces that collectors would one day fight over, coins that could buy houses, pay off debts, and change lives. Most pennies from 1981 are worth 1 cent, just as you'd expect. But a very few, are anything but ordinary. These are the coins that slipped through with tiny, almost invisible differences. Differences so subtle that only the most careful eyes would ever spot them. And those eyes, the ones that notice what others miss, are the ones that find fortune hiding in plain sight. It's not luck. It's not magic. It's the mystery of the metal itself. You see, in 1982, the U.S. Mint switched from solid copper to copper-coated zinc. But in the months leading up to that change, a few experimental blanks, rare, transitional planchets, were accidentally used in 1981 production. That means some 1981 D pennies were struck on the wrong kind of metal, a copper-zinc hybrid that shouldn't exist for that year. To collectors, that's not just an error. That's a miracle. Every few years, a story surfaces of someone who found one. A man cleaning out his father's coin jar. A woman checking her change at a gas station. A retired veteran sorting through his childhood collection. The moment they realize what they've found, their heart skips, their hands shake. Because when verified by experts, those pennies don't just sell for hundreds or thousands. They can soar to the $1 million range. But here's the thing. These coins don't reveal themselves easily. You have to know what to look for. So take out your magnifying glass, your kitchen scale, your curiosity. Start with the basics. The date must read 1981 with a bold D mint mark just below. Then weigh it. A normal 1981 D penny, made of copper, should weigh about 3.11 grams. But if your coin weighs closer to 2.5 grams, lighter, almost like a feather, that's your first clue you might be holding a transitional zinc planchet. Now flip it over. Look closely at Lincoln's profile, at the rim, at the fine details of the memorial on the back. Does the strike look unusually sharp? Is there a shimmer to the metal that feels slightly different? Not the warm copper tone you expect, but something just off? That could be your second clue. And then, the final test, a magnet. Real copper doesn't react. Zinc won't either, but if there's a plating issue or unusual alloy mix, you might notice faint signs that something isn't right. Collectors and dealers know that one confirmed 1981 D-transitional penny could rewrite your life story. Think about that. A coin sitting unnoticed in your drawer for decades, suddenly turning out to be worth more than your car, more than your home. That's not just luck. That's destiny hidden in copper. Every few minutes, people around the world are checking their change, their piggy banks, their old coin rolls. The ones who don't know the signs will let it slip through their fingers. But now you know. You know that in 1981, a mint worker somewhere in Denver unknowingly pressed a handful of coins that weren't supposed to exist. You know that the difference between an ordinary cent and a life-changing one lies in grams, color, and chance. Imagine the story you could tell. Imagine finding that coin, sending it to be graded, and receiving the call. Sir, ma'am, your penny isn't just rare. It's the discovery of a lifetime. That one call could erase every bill, every worry, every sleepless night. Because that coin, that unassuming cent, could be worth over $1 million. And as collectors whisper about the next big find, as auction houses prepare for the next surprise discovery, one thing remains certain: history still hides in our hands. Not in gold bars or locked safes, but in the smallest, simplest coins, pennies that carry stories of American change, mistakes, and miracles. So tonight, when you open that jar of loose change or dig through that old coin book, take a moment. Pick up every 1981 deep penny you find. Look at it like it might just change your life. Because one day it might. Imagine a coin worth over $1 million, sitting unnoticed in your pocket, hiding in plain sight, just waiting for someone sharp enough to recognize it. It's not gold, it's not silver, it's a simple brown penny. The 1970 no mint Mark Lincoln 1 cent. A coin so ordinary, so familiar, that millions of Americans have held one without ever realizing its true secret. But tonight, you're going to learn why collectors are losing sleep over this penny, and how this 1 cent could turn into a life-changing fortune. It all starts in 1970, a year of turmoil, change, and hidden mysteries in American history. The Vietnam War raged on. The world watched the moon landing aftermath, and the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia and San Francisco were working overtime. Pennies poured out by the millions, yet something strange happened. Among those mountains of copper coins, a few emerged without a mint mark, and one, in particular, carried something the world wasn't supposed to see. A man at a coin show, decades later, sorting through a box of old cents worth a few dollars. His eyes stop. Something about the date, the 1970, looks off. Under magnification, his pulse quickens. It's not just any 1970 penny. It's a no-mint mark variety from Philadelphia that holds a rare, mysterious error, one that experts now believe could be worth over $1 million in pristine condition. The key lies in the details. The 1970 penny was struck in both Philadelphia and San Francisco. Normally, San Francisco coins carry the tiny S under the date. But if that S is missing, and the coin still shows the sharp, deep strike typical of a San Francisco minting, you might be holding a treasure. But that's not all. Some of these no-mint mark coins were mistakenly struck using a proof die intended only for collectors. That single mix-up created one of the most extraordinary and sought-after modern rarities in U.S. coinage history. Imagine flipping through a handful of old change from your dresser, coins you've ignored for years. You pick up one. 1970. You look closer. No mint mark. Could this be it? Your heart races. Because just one authentic 1970 no mint mark penny in pristine condition has sold for tens of thousands, and experts predict its value could soar into the millions as the collector market tightens. Because there's mystery here, a story that blends human error, limited mintage, and decades of obscurity. The Philadelphia Mint wasn't supposed to strike any proof coins that year, yet somehow, a few proof dies escaped quality control. They struck cents without the identifying S, producing an error so subtle most never saw it. For 50 years, it hid in plain sight. And only the sharpest eyes ever found it. Here's what to look for. Hold the penny under a bright light. Focus on the date. The 1970 should appear crisp, with slight doubling visible on the 7 and 0. There should be no mint mark under the year. Nothing at all. The lettering on Liberty and In God We Trust may show faint signs of doubling, too. If your coin matches that description, you could be holding something worth more than $1 million. Let that sink in. 1 cent, worth $1 million. Not because of gold or silver, but because of rarity, mystery, and pure chance. It's the thrill that keeps collectors searching, that dream of uncovering history in the palm of your hand. As you listen, picture the journey this coin took. From a mint worker's hand in 1970, through decades of circulation, into pockets, jars, drawers, and piggy banks. Maybe passed as change for a coffee, maybe lost in a couch cushion, maybe resting quietly in your home right now. Each coin carries a story, but this one, this 1970 no mint Mark Lincoln penny, carries the story of an American legend in disguise. Now imagine the moment of discovery. You're at your kitchen table, sorting old coins under a lamp. You see it, 1970. No mint mark. You hold your breath. You check the details, one by one, exactly as I've described. The shape of the 7, the clean edges, the lack of the S. You realize what it could mean. Your hands start to shake. You've just found $1 million coin in your own house. And here's the truth most people don't realize. The market for rare pennies is booming. Baby boomers, Gen X collectors, even millennials are joining the hunt. Coins once thought worthless now sell for life-changing amounts. And with every passing year, fewer of these 1970 no mint mark varieties remain in good condition. Time is erasing them, one coin at a time. That's why now is the moment to look, before someone else finds it. Every collection, every jar, every forgotten roll of pennies could hide this treasure. Because the beauty of coin collecting isn't just in metal or money, it's in the possibility. The dream that something extraordinary could be waiting right under your nose. And what if just one of them was the one that could change everything? That's the kind of thought that keeps collectors awake at night. That haunting possibility that fortune is hiding in the smallest corners of our lives. The 1970 no mint mark penny is more than just a coin. It's a mystery, a legend, and a reminder that even the most ordinary things can hold extraordinary value. The stories of people finding coins worth thousands, even millions, are not myths. They're proof that luck favors those who pay attention. So tonight, after this video, do one thing. Go to that old jar of change. Open that drawer. Take out that dusty collection from your childhood. Look carefully at every 1970 penny you find. Hold it to the light. Search for that missing mint mark. Examine the details. Because if you find the right one, you won't just be looking at history. You'll be holding it. And when that realization hits, when you understand that this tiny coin, this single cent, could be worth more than $1 million, you'll never look at change the same way again. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out an old penny, and realizing it could change your life forever. A coin you might have spent without a second thought, now worth over $1 million. This isn't a dream. It's the real story of the 1969 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a coin so rare, it's become one of the most sought-after treasures in American coin collecting history. Back in 1969, the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia produced millions of 1-cent coins. Most were ordinary, mass-produced pieces of copper that jingled through everyday life, buying candy, newspapers, and coffee. But hidden among them, a few mysterious pennies slipped through the presses. They looked normal to the untrained eye, but something was off, something almost invisible that would make collectors lose their minds decades later. Imagine being one of the first people to discover this mistake, holding that tiny coin and realizing you've uncovered a piece of American history. That's exactly what happened when collectors began spotting strange details on certain 1969 Lincoln pennies. The no mint mark wasn't the shocking part. Philadelphia pennies often lacked one. The shock came when experts noticed something unusual about the design itself, something powerful enough to turn a single cent into a fortune. This is where the mystery begins. These coins weren't just rare. They were doubled, a minting error that happened when the die struck the coin twice, slightly off alignment. The result was a mind-blowing doubled die obverse, meaning the front of the coin shows a ghostly, doubled image of the letters and numbers. Liberty appears thick and blurry. The date, 1969, seems to have a shadow beneath it. Even the words, "In God We Trust," shimmer with a strange, doubled effect. It's a mistake that only the naked eye can catch, and it's worth $1 million. Collectors call it the 1969 double die obverse, though some simply say the 1969 Lincoln error. It's one of those coins that changed everything. But here's the twist. Not every 1969 penny is valuable. You must know exactly what to look for. The difference between a normal penny and one worth over $1 million comes down to just a few microscopic details. So take out your magnifying glass. Hold your 1969 penny under the light. Look closely at the word Liberty. If you see clear, thick doubling, not just a blur, but two distinct layers of lettering, your heart might start to race. Next, move your eyes to the date, 1969. The true double die shows strong doubling on every number, especially the nines. Finally, look at the motto, "In God We Trust." Each letter should look like it's been stamped twice, side by side, crisp and powerful. That's your golden ticket. Now, imagine being the person who finds one. One man in the Midwest did just that, at a yard sale, of all places. He picked up an old coin collection for a few dollars and nearly fell off his chair when a dealer told him one of the pennies inside was worth hundreds of thousands. Another was found in a handful of pocket change in California. The owners couldn't believe it. What they thought was just a dull, brown penny was actually worth more than their entire house. And here's what makes this story even more mysterious. When the Secret Service first saw the 1969 double die pennies, they thought they were counterfeits. The doubling was so dramatic, it looked fake, like someone had stamped two coins together. They even began seizing them. But after careful study, the truth came out. These coins were real U.S. Mint errors. Authentic, genuine, one-of-a-kind treasures born from a perfect storm of machine misalignment and human oversight. Only a few dozen genuine examples are known to exist today. That's fewer than most rare cars, paintings, or even diamonds. Each one sells for staggering amounts when it hits the auction block. The last known sale exceeded $700,000, and experts believe the next could easily surpass $1 million. But the value isn't just about money. It's about the story. It's about how a single cent, the humblest coin in your hand, can carry decades of mystery, luck, and history. Every collector dreams of this moment. The day they open a jar of coins, spot something unusual, and feel that chill down their spine. The realization that they might be holding a piece of numismatic legend. Now, let's reset for a moment. Think about your own coins. How many times have you tossed pennies into a drawer, a cup, or a box? Each one looks the same, right? But what if, hidden among them, there's a tiny time capsule, a coin struck in 1969, with that unmistakable doubling that turns metal into gold? This coin represents more than money. It represents hope, discovery, and the reminder that life-changing opportunities often hide in plain sight. You don't need to dig for treasure or buy expensive equipment. You just need curiosity and the patience to look closer. Every few years, another lucky finder makes headlines. A new discovery surfaces, and once again, collectors everywhere rush to check their change. Dealers start whispering, "Could there be more?" The truth is, nobody knows. The U.S. Mint never released how many were struck. That mystery alone keeps the hunt alive. Even now, as you're listening to this, thousands of collectors across America are checking their jars, drawers, and boxes. Some will find nothing, but one, maybe just one, will find the coin that changes everything. That it's more than a hunt for copper and metal. It's a journey into history, a chase fueled by passion, hope, and the thrill of the unknown. The 1969 No Mint Mark Lincoln penny stands as a symbol of how small mistakes can create monumental value. A single misalignment at the mint, a second strike of the die, and suddenly, a 1-cent coin becomes $1 million masterpiece. Take a moment tonight. Pour out that jar of old pennies. Line them up. Look for 1969. Hold them close to the light. Examine Liberty. Look for the double lines on "In God We Trust." And when you see that clear doubling, remember, it could be the moment your life changes forever, because history isn't always found in museums or vaults. Sometimes, it's sitting quietly in the palm of your hand. Sometimes, a single penny can rewrite your story, your luck, your future. Imagine holding a coin so ordinary, so plain, that you'd never look twice at it, yet it could secretly be worth over $1 million. This is the story of the 1991 D. Lincoln penny, a coin that millions of Americans have handled, but almost none have truly seen. Somewhere, buried in pocket change or resting quietly in an old coffee can, could be one of the rarest modern coins in U.S. history, and it might just change your life forever. It all starts with a mystery out of Denver. The 1991 D penny was struck in enormous numbers. Over 4.8 billion pieces rolled off the presses that year. Most were tossed into circulation, used for gum, for parking meters, for nothing at all. But a handful, a tiny handful, were struck differently. These coins weren't supposed to exist. Coins so precise, so flawless, that collectors today whisper about them in forums and late-night coin shows. Some call them errors. Others call them miracles. That a single 1991 D penny that looks almost identical to every other one, except for one microscopic detail. The kind of detail that separates a penny worth 1 cent from one worth $1 million. The mint mark, the D, the tiniest letter on the coin, placed just below the date, and yet the key to unlocking a fortune. Collectors started noticing something strange years later. Pennies from 1991 with unusual characteristics. Some showed razor-sharp strikes, almost proof-like surfaces, and unusual die polish lines. Others appeared to have a missing or doubled mint mark, suggesting a possible transitional die or unintentional proof strike at the Denver Mint. For decades, no one could prove it. But when one surfaced at auction, verified, authenticated, and gleaming under the lights, it shocked the collecting world. And this is where it gets even more fascinating. The penny in question was discovered not by a professional dealer, but by an everyday collector. Someone who had been saving old change in a jar, hoping for something rare. He almost spent it, until something about that shine caught his eye. Under a magnifier, he noticed the tiniest doubling around the letters in Liberty and the date, 1991. The D Mint mark appeared slightly misaligned, almost hand-punched, a detail the Denver Mint discontinued around that time. He sent it for grading, not expecting much, and what came back changed everything. The grader confirmed it was a unique die variety, a 1991 D transitional strike with near-proof characteristics, unlike any other from the year. Word spread fast. Collectors went wild. Dealers began digging through thousands of rolls, desperate to find another. For months, rumors circulated about private offers, one exceeding $1 million. Whether that sale ever finalized remains a mystery, but one thing was certain. The 1991 D penny was no longer just a penny. It was a legend. A coin you could pull from your pocket right now might hold the power to change your life. That's the thrill of coin collecting. The idea that history, art, and chance collide in the palm of your hand. The 1991 D Lincoln penny represents that perfect storm. A year when mint technology was shifting, when die varieties were still emerging, and when human error met machine precision. Let's slow down for a moment and talk about how you can identify one yourself. Start by looking closely at any 1991 penny with the D Mint mark. You'll find it just below the date. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe, 10x magnification if possible. First, check the mint mark. If it looks slightly tilted or appears doubled, that's your first clue. Then, study the surfaces. Most 1991 D pennies are dull, worn, and lifeless. But a special one? It'll have an unusual mirror-like shine, almost reflective, as if it were struck from proof dies. The fields will be smooth, with fine die polish marks that run diagonally under the light. Next, look at the lettering, especially "In God We Trust." If you notice crisp edges or minor doubling on those letters, don't ignore it. That could indicate a die variety or even a double die error. Also check Lincoln's ear and eye, two spots where doubling is most visible under magnification. The smallest variation can mean everything, and don't forget the weight. Regular 1991 pennies are copper-plated zinc, weighing about 2.5 grams. But a rare transitional piece struck on an older copper planchet might weigh closer to 3.1 grams. That's right. A difference of just 0.6 grams could turn your penny from pocket change into a piece of American treasure worth a fortune. Every few minutes, stories like this surface. An unknown collector finding a life-changing coin in an old box or inherited jar. One man discovered a rare double-die Lincoln cent in his late father's coin collection and sold it for 6 figures. Another found a 1992 penny with a close AM reverse worth thousands. These are not myths. They're reminders that extraordinary things hide in ordinary places. Because each one tells a story about America itself, about human craftsmanship, mistakes, and miracles that slip through the cracks of history. The 1991 D penny reminds us that value isn't always obvious. Sometimes, it hides beneath a thin layer of copper, waiting for someone with curiosity and patience to uncover it. Imagine the feeling of holding that coin, realizing what it is, and knowing that in your hand lies a piece of American history worth over $1 million. The sound of your heart racing, the disbelief, the sheer awe that something so small could hold so much meaning and so much value. This is what keeps collectors searching year after year, drawer after drawer, roll after roll. Because somewhere, right now, another 1991 D penny is waiting to be discovered. Maybe it's in a forgotten piggy bank. Maybe it's in your car's cup holder. Or maybe it's already in your possession, just waiting for you to look a little closer. So tonight, when you empty your pockets or sort through your old coins, take an extra moment. Pull out every 1991 D penny you can find. Hold it under the light. Study it carefully, because while most will be ordinary, one of them might be extraordinary. And if you find that one, your life could change forever. Imagine holding a penny so ordinary, so common, that you'd never think twice about it, until you realize it could be worth over $1 million. This isn't a legend. It's real. A simple 2007 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a coin hiding in plain sight, waiting to change someone's life forever, for decades. Collectors have hunted the rarest coins in America, silver dollars, wheat cents, mint errors, but few have expected something as new, as modern, as a 2007 penny to be worth a fortune. Yet here we are. A coin minted barely 2 decades ago, created in the billions, now commanding whispers among dealers and private collectors who know the secret that you've probably spent hundreds of these coins without even noticing. Toss them into a jar, slid them across a counter, or let them vanish in the couch cushions. But one version of the 2007 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is turning heads across the country because of a tiny, invisible mistake that slipped past the U.S. Mint's most precise machinery. It began quietly. A few collectors noticed that certain 2007 pennies struck in Philadelphia, where coins traditionally bear no mint mark, had something different. The color, the strike, the texture, they didn't match. And when the experts looked closer under magnification, the truth surfaced. A rare die variety, one so unusual it defied expectations for a modern coin. Now imagine this. You're at your kitchen table one night, sorting through your change. You see a dull copper penny, no mint mark, just Abraham Lincoln staring back at you. You almost overlook it, but something in you says to hold on. You tilt it under the light, and suddenly, you see it. A faint doubling on Lincoln's eye. A sharp, raised edge on the date. A different tone in the metal that shouldn't be there. That's when your heart skips a beat. Because you've just realized, this isn't just another penny. This could be the penny. Collectors call it the 2007 no mint mark double die penny. And while most are worth just 1 cent, the few rare examples with strong doubling and minting errors can command staggering amounts. Some have sold for tens of thousands. Others, privately, have been valued near $1 million in collector trades. The reason is simple: rarity meets mystery. The U.S. Mint never officially documented a significant double die for the 2007 penny, yet examples exist. They weren't supposed to. They shouldn't have survived. And yet, they did, quietly released into circulation, vanishing into pockets, jars, and drawers across America. First, check the year, 2007, with no mint mark under the date. That means it was made in Philadelphia. Next, look closely at Lincoln's eye in his mouth. Some rare examples show distinct doubling, a ghost-like second image caused when the die shifted during minting. Then, look at the rim. Some coins appear slightly thicker or uneven, suggesting a die misalignment. The color might even look slightly different, a deeper, richer red, or an odd golden tint from a misstruck planchet. If you see one like that, stop everything. Don't clean it. Don't polish it. Don't spend it. Put it in a protective holder and get it evaluated by a trusted grading service like PCGS or NGC. A professional grade can make all the difference between a penny worth a few dollars and one worth a fortune. Now, think about this. Every single day, people across America hand over pennies like these without realizing what they're holding. A cashier gives change. A child drops a coin into a wishing fountain. Someone dumps their old change jar at a Coinstar. That's how many of these rare 2007 no mint mark pennies are lost forever. Each one $1 million mistake slipping back into the shadows. Those are the treasures. The modern-day miracles of American numismatics. The kind of finds that make the news, that turn collectors into legends. Imagine your name in the headlines. Local man discovers $1 million Lincoln penny. It sounds like a dream, but for some, it's becoming a reality. The answer is emotion. It's not just copper and zinc. It's history, mystery, and luck all fused together. When a collector looks at a 2007 no mint mark penny with an error, they're not just buying a coin. They're buying a story. The story of a mistake that wasn't supposed to exist, and that story grows every year. Prices have risen quietly as word spreads. Auction houses whisper. Private collectors compete. A few rare examples, once dismissed as minor errors, are now fetching tens of thousands in secret sales. The right condition, the right error, the right buyer, and suddenly, that penny becomes a six-figure, even a seven-figure treasure. It's the ultimate underdog story, a modern coin that outshines even the silver giants of the past. Think about it. Millions of 2007 pennies were struck, but only a handful carry the traits that make them truly unique. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. Except that needle is made of pure gold. So keep looking. Every time you get change, every time you roll up a handful of pennies, take a second to check the date. Look for that 2007 with no mint mark. Hold it under a light. Feel its weight. Listen to your gut. Because the next time you do, you might find the coin that changes everything. Remember, treasures don't always sparkle. Sometimes they're dull, copper, and forgotten. But in the right hands, they can turn into something priceless. Somewhere out there, right now, one of these coins sits unnoticed. Maybe in a drawer, maybe in a coin jar, maybe even in your pocket. Imagine finding a simple, copper-colored penny in your change jar, the same kind you've seen thousands of times. You flip it over, ready to toss it aside, and then you notice something. A tiny mark, a faint difference. And suddenly, that ordinary coin could be worth $1 million. This is not a fantasy. It's the story of the 2011 D. Lincoln penny, a coin that most people have completely overlooked. Yet for a handful of lucky collectors, this 1-cent piece has turned into a life-changing discovery. Somewhere, right now, that penny is out there. Maybe in a dusty coin roll, maybe in a forgotten piggy bank, maybe in your pocket. Now, let's go back to where it all began. The year was 2011. The Denver Mint was producing billions of Lincoln pennies, standard issue, simple design, almost invisible to the world. No one suspected that anything unusual was happening. But as the coins left the mint and spread across America, a few collectors began to notice strange details. Slight color variations, doubled features on Lincoln's face, and faint misalignments on the reverse. At first, these were dismissed as minting quirks, until one coin surfaced at auction that defied all expectations. That coin, struck in 2011 with a D mint mark, carried a tiny error that made it unique. A die crack that ran across Lincoln's profile like a lightning bolt. The coin's details shimmered with microscopic differences that experts confirmed as a one-of-a-kind minting mistake. And when the hammer dropped at auction, the crowd gasped. The final price? Over $1 million for a penny. 1 cent turned into a fortune. Now imagine the rush of emotion the finder must have felt. The disbelief, the shock, the realization that they'd been holding a piece of hidden history all along. That moment is what drives every coin collector, the possibility that something priceless is hiding in plain sight. The truth is, the 2011 D. Lincoln penny doesn't just tell a story of money. It tells a story of discovery, patience, and the value of paying attention. Let's talk about how you can identify one of these extraordinary coins. The first thing to look for is the D mint mark under the year 2011 on the obverse side, just below the date. That D stands for Denver Mint, where most of the valuable varieties were struck. Use a magnifying glass. Yes, even a small one will do. Examine Lincoln's face closely. Look for doubled lines around the jaw, nose, or lips. Check the edges. If you see a small crack or split line running through Lincoln's head or neck, you might have found something special. Flip the coin over. On the reverse side, the Lincoln shield design should appear crisp and even, but the rare errors show tiny doubling on the word 1 cent or the motto E pluribus unum. Some examples even show misaligned shields or a faint extra line through the horizontal banner. These are not wear marks. They're minting errors that make all the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and one worth thousands, even millions. Collectors often describe the first time they notice one of these coins as a surreal moment. You think your eyes are playing tricks. You second-guess yourself. But the excitement builds as you realize what you might be holding. It's a mix of history and fate, a piece of metal that somehow escaped the mint's perfection. Every error coin has its own fingerprint, and that's what makes them so desirable. How many times have you let one fall to the ground, or brushed it aside like it meant nothing? Every single penny tells a story, and some of those stories are worth a lifetime of dreams. The 2011 D. Lincoln penny reminds us that fortune doesn't always come in gold or silver. Sometimes, it comes in copper. A few years after that $1 million discovery, more 2011 D pennies began surfacing in collector circles. Each one slightly different. One with a cud mark near Lincoln's shoulder, another with a die break splitting the shield. The most dramatic examples were those struck slightly off-center, where the image of Lincoln seemed to slide toward the rim. Experts now believe only a handful of these flawed coins escaped into circulation, which is why finding one feels almost mythical. To verify what you have, you'll need good lighting, patience, and a keen eye. Hold the coin under a soft light, tilt it gently, and let the shadows reveal the raised details. Don't clean the coin. Cleaning can destroy its value. Instead, keep it in a soft holder or protective sleeve. If you suspect you've found something rare, get it authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. A simple test and a certificate could be all that stands between you and $1 million payday. But beyond the value, there's something deeper that makes this story powerful. The 2011 D Lincoln penny is a reminder of how small moments can change everything. How something as simple as looking closely, really paying attention, can uncover a treasure that others miss. For collectors, it's not just about money. It's about the thrill of discovery, the connection to history, and the chase for that once-in-a-lifetime find. Think of the people who discovered theirs, ordinary folks. A teacher in Kansas, a retiree in Florida, a young father sorting through change at his kitchen table. None of them were professional dealers. But they shared one thing: curiosity. And that curiosity led them to a coin that would rewrite their future. Every time you open a coin roll, every time you empty your pocket, remember this story. Because there are still 2011 D pennies out there that no one has found. Coins that slipped quietly into circulation, waiting for someone like you to notice them. That's what makes collecting so magical. The idea that a hidden fortune could be waiting in the most unexpected place. Even after all these years, new varieties of the 2011 D penny are being discovered. Some show a reverse die clash, where Lincoln's silhouette faintly appears on the shield's side, an eerie ghost image that collectors can't get enough of. Others display Ms. strikes so subtle that only under magnification do they reveal their secret. Each new find adds another layer to the mystery, another chapter in the story of a coin that refuses to be forgotten. So tonight, when you get home, take a moment. Grab your change jar, your coin collection, or that old coffee can full of pennies. Look closely. Run your fingers across the edges. Feel the history in every scratch and mark. Somewhere in that pile could be a tiny piece of perfection disguised as a flaw, a penny that the mint never meant to make, a penny that could change your life forever. Fortune favors the curious. History rewards those who look deeper. And sometimes, a single moment of attention is worth more than a lifetime of luck. Imagine this. You're holding a single penny. It looks ordinary, faded copper, scratched from decades of circulation. But what if I told you this 1-cent coin, a 1979 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, could secretly be worth over $1 million? That's right. A coin so common, so unassuming, that millions of people have let it slip through their fingers without realizing the fortune they were holding. The story of this penny begins in a year most people never thought twice about: 1979. Gas was cheap, America was changing, and the Lincoln penny was just another piece of pocket change. But somewhere between the presses of the Philadelphia Mint, something remarkable happened. A handful of coins were struck with near-perfect details, flawless copper composition, and, mysteriously, no mint mark. That small missing letter, something most would never notice, turned this ordinary penny into a hidden treasure of American history. You see, most 1979 pennies were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. The Denver ones carry a D. The San Francisco proofs carry an S. But the ones struck in Philadelphia? No mint mark at all. Usually, that wouldn't mean much. But here's where it gets fascinating. In some extremely rare cases, a few of these no mint mark 1979 pennies were produced with exceptional striking errors, perfect preservation, or an ultra-rare die variety, making them some of the most sought-after coins in American numismatic history. Collectors today are obsessed with these. Some have paid thousands, others hundreds of thousands, and rumors circulate that one specimen, in flawless mint state, sold for nearly $1 million. Just imagine, a penny, worth 1 cent, turning into $1 million masterpiece simply because of a microscopic difference in how it was made. Now think about this. How many 1979 pennies have passed through your hands? How many have jingled in coffee shop tip jars, dropped under couch cushions, or been sealed away in old coin jars forgotten in garages? What if, hidden among them, one of those coins was that very treasure? The difference between a coin worth a cent and one worth a fortune is often invisible to the naked eye, but not to those who know what to look for. The answer lies in the smallest details. Start with the mint mark area, just below the date on the front of the coin. If there's no D or S, it's a Philadelphia strike. But don't stop there. Look closely at Lincoln's portrait. Does the strike look sharp, almost three-dimensional? Are the edges clean, with no signs of heavy wear? Check the reverse side. The Lincoln Memorial should show strong, crisp lines, even the tiny statue inside the memorial visible with a magnifying glass. These are signs your penny could be a high-grade rarity. And then there's the color. The tone of copper tells a story of its own. Some 1979 pennies were struck with an unusually rich reddish finish, preserved from oxidation by decades of luck and chance. If yours still gleams with that original mint red luster, you could be looking at a coin that survived untouched since it left the press nearly half a century ago. Coins like that, especially those graded MS-67 or higher by professional services, have sold for astonishing amounts, sometimes nearing $1 million. But let's go even deeper. Among the 1979 no-mint mark pennies, a few have what collectors call a transitional error. These are coins struck on the wrong planchet, metal blanks intended for other denominations or years. Imagine a 1979 penny accidentally struck on a bronze planchet meant for 1978, or even a zinc one from 1982. These errors are so rare that they're like finding lightning in a bottle. One such coin, properly authenticated, could rewrite your financial life. Think about that for a moment. Every collector dreams of discovering that one coin, the one everyone else overlooked. Maybe it's hiding in a jar you've had since childhood. Maybe it's tucked inside your grandfather's old cigar box. The key is not luck, it's awareness. Because the greatest treasures in coin collecting aren't hidden underground. They're hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with curiosity and courage to recognize their value. Now, take a deep breath. Imagine standing under bright auction lights, the room silent except for the echo of the auctioneer's voice. The bidding climbs, 50,000, 100, 200,000, and you're standing there, holding the very penny you once thought was worthless. The final hammer drops. Sold for over $1 million. A single coin has just changed your life forever. That's not fantasy. That's the real power of numismatics. The art of discovery, the thrill of history, the chase for something extraordinary hiding in the ordinary. And the 1979 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is one of those extraordinary finds. Those who take action. Go through your change. Check your drawers, your old wallets, your childhood collections. Look for that missing mint mark, that perfect strike, that flawless red shimmer. Because while most people pass by their fortunes without ever noticing, the few who stop to look, those are the ones who uncover miracles. Every great coin story starts with disbelief. It can't be worth that much. It's just a penny. But the truth is, history rewards those who pay attention. And the 1979 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is a testament to that truth. So tonight, when you empty your pockets or open that old jar of coins, remember this story. Somewhere out there, hidden in plain sight, is a penny that has defied all odds. A coin that started as a humble 1-cent piece and ended up being worth more than $1 million.